The tranquil silence of space conceals its countless secrets. Over the last half a century, numerous stories of unsolved mysteries and eerie incidents have found their origins amidst the stars. One such mystery orbits around the doomed Soviet spacecraft Soyuz 11. Launched on June 6, 1971, this spacecraft carrying a crew of 3 intrepid cosmonauts seemingly vanished into the cosmic abyss. However, 52 years after its sudden disappearance, the enigma of Soyuz 11 deepened further in an event that startled the global scientific community. The spacecraft re-emerged, carrying within its cold metallic confines the skeletal remains of its original crew. This shocking re-entry shone a light on a long-forgotten tale of technological triumph turned tragedy, sending shivers down the spine of humanity. At the dawn of the 1970s, as the world was engrossed in the space race, the Soviet Union was determined to demonstrate its technological prowess. Its commitment culminated in the launch of Soyuz 11, a mission that promised glory but concluded in calamity. Soyuz 11 was a mission of many firsts. The spacecraft was to dock with the world's first space station, Salyut 1, where the crew was expected to spend nearly a month, a significant leap in manned spaceflight duration. On June 6, 1971, under the vast azure Kazakh skies, the launch of Soyuz 11 marked the beginning of a mission that would etch its name in the annals of space exploration history, albeit for reasons the world would come to rue. The spacecraft, a model of Soviet engineering, was a sight to behold. Its sleek design, marked by a spherical descent module and a cylindrical orbital module, bore the hopes and dreams of a nation eager to leave an indelible mark on space exploration. In the spacecraft were 3 brave souls ready to venture into the final frontier: Georgy Dobrovolsky, Viktor Patsayev, and Vladislav Volkov. These men, hailed as heroes even before their journey commenced, were the chosen ones, the face of Soviet ambition. The rocket soared into the cosmos, a testament to human achievement. It was a sight that made hearts swell with pride and eyes glisten with unshed tears. Onlookers watched in awe as the spacecraft disappeared into the azure infinity, leaving behind a blazing trail that spoke volumes of the courage and audacity of the human spirit. Once in orbit, the Soyuz 11 embarked on its journey towards the Salyut 1. The rendezvous with the space station was meticulously planned and executed with precision. The docking was a moment of triumph for the Soviets. It was the first time in history that a manned spacecraft had successfully docked with an orbital station, and the euphoria was palpable. While the world watched with bated breath, the cosmonauts set about their tasks diligently, paving the way for future space missions. In the Salyut 1, they lived and worked, studying the effects of prolonged space exposure on the human body and conducting numerous experiments to expand the frontiers of knowledge. In their correspondence with ground control, they spoke of their experiences, their voices resonating with wonder, pride, and a profound sense of duty. They painted vivid images of the Earth, a radiant blue orb suspended in the cosmic dark, evoking a sense of awe and reverence. Life aboard Soyuz 11 was a paradox of spectacular views and stark isolation. The crew was surrounded by the dark infinity of space, interspersed with the dazzling brilliance of distant stars. Beneath them, the beauty of the blue planet, our home, provided a sight that few humans have ever witnessed. These men were living among the stars, but they were also removed from everything familiar and comforting. Confined within the metallic structure of Soyuz 11 and the connected Salyut 1. Each cosmonaut was responsible for specific tasks. Georgy Dobrovolsky, the mission commander, coordinated the crew's work, ensuring the spacecraft's functioning and maintained communication with ground control. Viktor Patsayev, the flight engineer, managed the numerous scientific experiments, including those related to medical and biological studies. Vladislav Volkov, the flight engineer and resident space veteran with prior experience on Soyuz 7, was the chief conductor of onboard operations and maintenance. The cosmonauts' days were structured and disciplined, dictated by the demands of their mission. Their routine included meticulous maintenance of the spacecraft, execution of planned experiments, recording observations, and scheduled communication with the ground station. Despite the workload, the crew seemed to adapt well to the conditions of microgravity and the realities of life in space. Letters from the cosmonauts to their families back on Earth spoke of their enthusiasm and sense of duty. The mission was not merely technical, it was a human endeavor that brought with it the very human aspects of joy, excitement, camaraderie, and longing. There was laughter heard across the communication channels, shared between the crew and ground control. The men played chess, the first crew to do so in space, their game broadcast to millions back on Earth. However, it was not always easy. The isolation and stress of their vital mission weighed heavily upon them. The limited living space, lack of privacy, and physical discomfort were constant reminders of their precarious situation. Yet these hardships were met with courage and resilience, traits intrinsic to explorers braving the unknown. Living in space also involved confronting some surprising challenges. They had to learn to maneuver their bodies in microgravity, a mundane task on Earth made complex by the absence of gravity. Eating, sleeping, and personal hygiene took on new dimensions and required adaptability and ingenuity. From their unique vantage point, the cosmonauts were treated to breathtaking views of Earth. Dobrovolsky once described a sunrise from orbit as a ring of bright orange light spreading its rays upon the Earth. He spoke of the awe-inspiring view of Earth from space with its blue oceans, green forests, and brown deserts, a sight that evoked profound feelings of both wonder and homesickness. In essence, life aboard Soyuz 11 was a complex tapestry of groundbreaking scientific exploration, mundane daily chores, and deeply personal experiences. It was a testament to the indomitable human spirit in its quest for knowledge and exploration. Little did they know, though, that their routine life aboard Soyuz 11 was soon to take an unexpected, tragic turn. The unexpected calamity that would mark Soyuz 11 as one of the most tragic events in the history of space exploration occurred silently, hidden beneath the calm veneer of space. The 23 days of diligent work and path-breaking discoveries were brought to an abrupt halt, not by a spectacular explosion or a dramatic accident, but by a silent, unseen error. On June 30th, 1971, Soyuz 11 began its journey back to Earth. It was time for Dobrovolsky, Patsayev, and Volkov to return home, bringing with them their observations, discoveries, and a wealth of experiences. As the undocking process started, the spacecraft separated into two modules, the orbital module, where the cosmonauts had lived and worked for the past 3 weeks, and the descent module, designed to endure the heat of re-entry and bring the crew safely back to Earth. It was during this separation process that disaster struck. A cabin vent valve on the descent module malfunctioned, opening prematurely while the two modules were separating. The problem was subtle, the effects devastating. The valve's malfunction caused the cabin's atmosphere to vent out into the void of space, subjecting the crew to the harsh reality of vacuum. Such a rapid depressurization was fatal. Within seconds, the cabin was devoid of air. The cosmonauts would have only had a moment to realize what was happening before losing consciousness due to lack of oxygen, a condition known as hypoxia. What made the incident even more tragic that it was entirely unforeseen. The flaw in the Soyuz 11 design that led to the cabin vent valve malfunction was not anticipated, and the cosmonauts were not equipped to deal with such a situation. They had no spacesuits on during the re-entry process, which was a standard practice at that time due to space and weight constraints within the descent module. The lack of suits left them vulnerable to the rapid depressurization. The sudden silence that fell upon the communication channel alerted ground control that something was wrong. However, the enormity of the situation was not immediately apparent. Communication disruptions were not uncommon, and the signal was expected to re-establish as the descent module entered lower orbits. It was only when the Soyuz 11 landed as scheduled and the recovery team found the lifeless bodies of the 3 cosmonauts that the shocking reality dawned upon the world. The crew of Soyuz 11, hailed as heroes and pioneers, had lost their lives not in the vast expanse of space, but in the descent module just moments away from their triumphant return. The unseen error had transformed the space capsule from a vehicle of exploration and return into a silent tomb. It was a chilling reminder of the immense risks that accompany the pursuit of knowledge and the exploration of the final frontier. The recovery of Soyuz 11 was shrouded in silence. The spacecraft, designed to bring back triumphant explorers, returned to Earth carrying a tragic cargo. It was not the homecoming anyone had anticipated. The jubilation that usually accompanies a spacecraft's return was replaced by a somber silence that echoed the magnitude of the loss. As the descent module re-entered the Earth's atmosphere and parachuted down onto the Kazakh steppe, recovery teams were ready, expecting the capsule's hatch to open and reveal the three returning heroes. The module's re-entry had seemingly gone as planned. The parachute deployed correctly and the landing was perfect. All seemed well, at least from the outside. However, as the recovery team approached the still smoking capsule and opened the hatch, a chilling sight met their eyes. Inside, Dobrovolsky, Patsayev, and Volkov sat motionless, a sight that would haunt the space community for years to come. The first humans to live aboard a space station had become the first to die in space. The news of the crew's demise spread like a shockwave, initially within the closed circles of the Soviet space program and then across the world. The enormity of the tragedy was met with disbelief and shock. The cosmonauts, who had been living symbols of human achievement, had suddenly become reminders of the immense risks associated with venturing into space. The bodies were quickly moved to Moscow, where autopsies confirmed that the cause of death was hypoxia, a result of the rapid depressurization in the spacecraft. The post-mortem report indicated that they would have had a few seconds of consciousness before succumbing, a thought that only added to the gravity of the disaster. Their funeral, held in Moscow, was a solemn event. Amidst the solemn atmosphere, the three caskets, draped in the Soviet flag, were a stark reminder of the fine line between triumph and tragedy in space exploration. Thousands of mourners, including fellow cosmonauts, family members, and ordinary citizens, paid their respects to the fallen heroes. The global space community, too, grieved the loss of Dobrovolsky, Patsayev, and Volkov. Yet amid the mourning and the grieving, there was a strong sense of resolve. This incident, though heart-wrenching, underscored the risks and challenges that lay in mankind's quest to explore the cosmos. The global space community was united in its grief, but it was also united in its determination to learn from this incident and to continue the pursuit of space exploration. In the aftermath of the tragedy, the Soyuz spacecraft underwent significant design changes to prevent such a disaster from happening again. The changes included the provision for the crew to wear pressure suits during launch, in-space operations, and re-entry, a practice that continues to be followed in current space missions. The Soyuz 11 disaster served as a grim reminder of the hazards of space travel, leading to crucial improvements in spacecraft design and safety protocols. Thus, Soyuz 11, initially envisioned as a symbol of technological achievement, became a symbol of a different sort, a symbol of the risks, the costs, and the resilience that underpin mankind's quest for the stars. Yet the story of Soyuz 11 was far from over. Even as the world moved on, a startling discovery decades later would ensure that the legacy of Soyuz 11 and its ill-fated crew will continue to captivate and confound the world. The tragedy of Soyuz 11 elicited a global response that was as unprecedented as the incident itself. From the world leaders to the common man, from scientific communities to ordinary citizens, the loss of the Soyuz 11 crew was mourned deeply. Across nations and across ideological divides, the event served as a sobering reminder of the shared human risks involved in space exploration. NASA, the American counterpart to the Soviet space program, extended its condolences. Its administrators and astronauts, including those from the Apollo missions, reached out expressing their grief and solidarity. The tragedy transcended geopolitical boundaries, uniting the world in shared sorrow. International media covered the event extensively, underscoring the universal fascination and concern associated with space travel. However, in the midst of this global reaction, the Soviet Union remained largely silent. Although it made the tragic event public and held state funerals for the fallen cosmonauts, much of the detailed information surrounding the incident was held back from the public domain. The exact cause of the cosmonauts' death was not immediately revealed. In fact, it took years for the true cause of death to emerge. This silence can be attributed to the secretive nature of the Soviet regime at that time. Space missions were state affairs, and any incidents, especially those that hinted at potential errors or flaws in design and execution, were tightly controlled. A tragedy of this scale was bound to stir questions, and the Soviet Union, then engaged in an intense space race with the United States, was not prepared to reveal its vulnerabilities. However, as the global space community shared its learnings and collectively improved its safety measures in response to the Soyuz 11 disaster, the Soviet Union too was prompted to re-evaluate its space mission protocols. Extensive investigations were launched, which ultimately led to significant changes in the Soyuz spacecraft's design and safety measures. In the end, the tragic loss of the Soyuz 11 crew led to improved safety that has likely saved many lives in subsequent space missions. Yet the lessons learned from Soyuz 11 were not merely technical. The tragedy brought forth questions about the ethics of sending humans into space, the need for transparency in space programs, and the importance of international cooperation in dealing with space-related crises. The Soyuz 11 incident played a significant role in shaping the future of manned space exploration. In retrospect, Soyuz 11 marked a turning point in space exploration history, serving as a stark reminder of the risks involved and prompting a renewed focus on astronaut safety. It sparked a series of changes, improvements, and introspections that still resonate in today's space missions. However, the world was yet to uncover the full story of Soyuz 11. Decades later, the re-emergence of the spacecraft would add an eerie new chapter to this tragic tale. Nearly half a century later, long after the Soyuz 11 tragedy had become a grim chapter in the annals of space exploration, an unexpected event reignited interest in the ill-fated mission. The Soyuz 11 spacecraft, thought to be lost in the vast expanses of space, reappeared in Earth's orbit. Its return, shrouded in mystery and improbability, sent ripples of surprise, curiosity, and a chilling sense of unease through the scientific community and the world at large. On a regular monitoring routine, an International Space Observatory detected an unidentified object in low Earth orbit. Initial observations suggested it was an artificial satellite of considerable size. The object did not match the profiles of any operational satellites or known space debris, setting off a flurry of speculations and inquiries. Further analysis utilizing advanced space tracking systems and comparison with historical mission data led to an eerie conclusion. The object closely matched the dimensions and signatures of the orbital module of Soyuz 11. The news of the reappearance of Soyuz 11 was met with disbelief, given the vastness of space and the number of years that had elapsed since the disaster. The spacecraft was expected to have either burnt up in Earth's atmosphere or to be drifting in the infinity of space. For it to reappear in Earth's orbit after all these years was unthinkable. Yet the data was indisputable. The orbital module of Soyuz 11 had indeed returned like a ghost ship from the depths of space, its reappearance as mysterious as its initial disappearance. The world watched with bated breath as efforts were made to retrieve the unexpected visitor. The retrieval mission, carried out by a multinational team of astronauts from the International Space Station ISS, was as much a technical challenge as it was a poignant rendezvous with history. The docking process had to be handled delicately, considering the age and unknown condition of the Soyuz 11 module. Simultaneously, the crew had to prepare themselves for the grim reality of what the module might contain. With the world watching, the module was successfully docked to the ISS. The team then embarked on the somber task of opening the hatch. The atmosphere was heavy with a mixture of apprehension and grim anticipation. When the hatch finally opened, a chilling sight met the astronauts' eyes. Inside the module, preserved by the cold vacuum of space, were the skeletal remains of 3 unidentified beings. It was a ghastly echo of the Soyuz 11 tragedy. The module, instead of the scientific instruments and experiment samples it was originally intended to carry, bore the grim remnants of its tragic past. Although it was initially uncertain whether these were indeed the remains of any living creatures, subsequent examinations confirmed that the skeletal remains were indeed of terrestrial origin. The shocking discovery of the skeletal remains on the Soyuz 11 module added an eerie twist to the spacecraft's already tragic legacy. The world was left grappling with a myriad of questions. How had the Soyuz 11 reappeared after all these years? Who were these beings whose remains were found on board, and how did they end up there? Amidst these questions, one thing was clear: the story of Soyuz 11 was far from over. The re-emergence of Soyuz 11 served as a chilling reminder of the perils of space travel, yet it also highlighted the human persistence and courage that underpins our endeavors to explore the universe. Even in its eerie return, Soyuz 11 continues to inspire awe, provoke questions, and drive our quest for answers in the final frontier.